Dexter, why did you do that?
Why was there blood in Martin?
Hey, this body. You look fine as fuck,
Can you tell us where
Jonah.
the body is? How do you see the body is?
You look golden brown. Doesn't that mean you're a pedophile?
Where's the body? Hey,
Are you a Norte? Are you Serenium? Did she consent? Did she consent? Why are you wearing that? Bro, come on.
Why'd you kill her? Why'd you kill
Why's
her?
your fingerprints at the end of the scene?
I know you and Melania's from.
Where's the body at? Where'd you hide the body?
What'd you do with those kids in Thailand?
How
That
do you
girl.
think the family feels?
So you were the one selling those kids on Wayfair, huh?
Why'd you kill her, bro? Why'd you kill her?
That's really not respectable, man. I know you're dealing with China. You
Why'd
gotta
you
stop
kill her?
trading
Where's
fentanyl
the
to our
body at?
children.
Where is she at?
Everybody knows that you and Dexter helped kill the same.
Why did you kill her? Why'd you kill her? Why'd you kill her? Where's she at?
Did Gus really die? Real Crips out here. We will kill you if you come back to our city. Yeah.
All rise. The Superior Court of Santa Clara County is now in session.
All right. Thank you. Everyone may be seated. Jury, can you swear? Taylor, can you swear the jury in, please?
Please raise your hand. You promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
All right, members of the jury, your duty today will be to determine whether the plaintiff proves that the defendant has caused wrongful death of the son. You must find a verdict based on the preponderance of evidence or the most convincing evidence and facts presented. If you believe that the plaintiff has not shown more evidence for their argument, you must find for them. If you believe that they did not show enough evidence in their argument, you must find for the defendant. Bailiff, please announce today's case. Plaintiff, are you ready?
The people of the state of California versus Antony, Garcia, Torres.
All right. And plaintiff, are you guys ready? Where's the plaintiff? Advance, are you ready? Perfect. Okay, we're gonna start with the prosecutor. So we'll start with the prosecutor.
Ladies, do I start here? Do I stand here? Like there? You can stand right there so the jurors can see it. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, Sierra Lamar is dead and this man killed her. Today we will prove that after 3 attempts of stalking and assaulting 3 other young females, the defendant Antony Garcia Torres finally accomplished his goal. On March 16, 2012, he stalked, kidnapped, and murdered 15-year-old Sierra Lamar, hiding her body to this day, still to be found. We stand before you as representatives of the state determined to prove that the defendant, Antony Garcia Torres, committed the acts that led to significant harm in our community. In this trial, we will demonstrate that the evidence against Mr. Torres is overwhelming. You will listen to compelling testimonies from credible witnesses and volume of forensic evidence that clearly establish his culpability, including Torres' DNA found on Sierra's jeans, which were discovered near her home. The DNA was crucial in establishing a connection between the two. Our case will show that the actions of Mr. Torres were not only unlawful and motivated, but also deeply affected the lives of those involved. Throughout the proceeding, we will present eyewitness accounts that directly link the defendant to the incident in question. We will demonstrate how Mr. Torres, in a well-rehearsed moment of opportunity, made choices that put others at risk. You will also hear from experts who will explain how the evidence was collected and why it is credible and compelling. At the conclusion of the trial, we ask that you not only consider the facts, but the impact of Mr. Torres' actions on our community. Remember, the burden is on us, the prosecution, to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant is guilty. By the end of the trial, we are confident that you will see the clarity and truth in the evidence presented. Ladies and gentlemen, justice is a community effort, and we need your commitment to uphold it. We urge you to listen intently to the testimonies, analyze the evidence presented, and when it comes, deliver a verdict that reaffirms our collective belief in accountability and responsibility. Thank you for your attention as we begin this important journey towards justice. Let us proceed.
Defense opening statement.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. My name is Juliana Brackett, and I represent Antony Garcia Torres, who was just 21 years old, now 29, when he was accused of a crime that has shaken this community, the disappearance of Sierra Lamar. Let me be clear, Antony did not commit this crime. He is not the killer. He is not the person the prosecution wants you to believe he is. He is a young man, a father, a husband, and a son. And today, you will hear from the people who know him best, his mother and his wife, who will tell you Antony truly is beyond the headlines. His mother, a woman who raised him and watched him grow, will take the stand to speak about the boy she knew. His quiet nature, his struggles, and love he has always shown his family. You will also hear from his wife, the mother of his child, who stood beside him every day. She will tell you about the life they shared, the routines, the love, the normalcy, nothing that even remotely fits this story. The prosecution is truly trying to tell. Her words will show you something that the prosecution is, her words will show you something the prosecution doesn't want you to see, that he is not the monster. He is a human being, deeply loved and rooted in family. The prosecution has nobody, no conclusion, no confession. What they do have are a few pieces of DNA and a lot of assumptions. But assumptions are no facts and emotions, no matter how strong and not the proof. In this country, we do not convict people on feelings or fear. The burden is only the prosecution to prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt. Not just that Sierra is gone, but that she is murdered, and that Antony Garcia Torres was the one who did it. They cannot meet burden. And by the end of this trial, we believe you'll see the truth, that the evidence does not hold up to that. Too many questions remain that Antony Garcia Torres is not guilty. Thank you.
Thank you. Plaintiffs, you can call your first witness.
The prosecution calls Sergeant Herman Leon Susan.
Will the witness please stand? You may be sworn in by the bailiff.
From the investigating group.
Okay, no, wait,
Probate.
where's the investigator?
Please raise your hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Please tell us your name and title.
Santiago. My title is investigative officer.
How and when did you first become involved in this investigation?
So I became involved because it was a missing persons case. So it was my job to identify and find where she went.
And Mr. Leon, how and what was the evidence collected?
Well, it was collected through our way we found it. So first we used the canine unit to track down her scent, which disappeared midway down her street. So we searched the surrounding area, and we were able to find, a day after her disappearance, we were able to find her clothing and her cell phone on an open field.
And Mr. Leon, what are the regulations or policies in collecting and processing this evidence?
We're supposed to collect it and secure the area first before we move it, but since it was the day after and the clothes were found muddy, so we were scared that the elements were to destroy the evidence more faster than we anticipated.
No further questions? Thank you, Mr. Leon. That'll be all. Thank you. No further questions? The witness, you may. Defense. Wait.
No, wait,
Sorry.
you're just.
I'm sorry. The defense has a chance to cross. Does the defense have cross-examination for the witness?
Probably there's a chance that we but not 100%. So, no.
Sierra is not considered to be deceased. Could that result upon a chance that she might still be alive? Could she be a possible runaway?
There is a theory about that, but there is no actual evidence pointing to it.
So is it a yes or no?
No.
Thank you.
Plaintiff, do you have any redirect questions? Oh, witness, you may be seated. There you go. Oh, we need to step down. All right. Is there a second witness for the plaintiff? If you could, provide the first witness.
The prosecution calls Sierra Lamar's mom, Miss Marlene Lamar, to the stand.
Witness, please stand so you can be sworn in.
Would you raise your right hand? Do you promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes. Please tell us your name and relationship to the victim.
My name is Marlene Lamar, and I am the victim's mother.
And Ms. Lamar, what was your relationship like with your daughter Sierra?
We had a really good relationship. She would tell me about her feelings and everything. The last time that I'd seen her, my last encounter with her was, I loved her, I gave her a hug. That's something we always did every morning before she would go off to school, and I'd eat for work.
Why are you today in court?
I'm here to attest that my daughter has been kidnapped and killed.
And Ms. Lamar, when was the last time you spoke to Sierra and how did she appear during this time?
I spoke to her the morning of March 16th, 2012, the morning that she had disappeared. I spoke to her in our house and she seemed fine. She was really excited about, or she was stressed out a little bit about her academics, but she seemed positive in the end, and I just assumed that it was any other day.
And Ms. Lamar, what events occurred on March 16th, 2012?
We woke up and I left for work. My job is still in Fremont, even though we live in Morgan Hill. And I left for work at 6 a.m. I said bye to her before I left, and from what normally happens is she goes to school, she walks to the bus stop, which is a few blocks down from our house. She normally leaves around 7 o'clock, and I remember to text her, reminding her that when she gets home from school,
Witness, can you please seated? So the defense can cross-examine.
Mrs. Lamar, thank you for being here. Today, I understand this is an incredibly difficult experience, and I want to assure you that my questions are intended to clarify the facts to the court. If anything is unclear, please let me know. I'll keep my questions focused and respectful. So, is it true that you left for work before Sierra had left the house?
Yes.
So, did you see her actually get on the bus?
No, I did not.
So, Sierra typically walked to the bus stop by herself, correct?
Yes,
Okay. And does Sierra carry a cell phone?
she does. It's a
Right.
touch.
And was she active on social media apps?
Not that I know of.
And previously, you guys lived in Fremont. Did Sierra ever express that she missed her old home?
She did. She missed her old home when she went to school in Fremont originally, and she had missed her old friends. However, she was very excited about this new school and friends. And like I said previously, she had told me about plans of possibly meeting up with a new friend from her new school.
So would it be possible that she may have felt unhappy or isolated in Morgan Hill?
I really don't think so. I mean, she would have told me.
Has Sierra ever left home without permission before?
No.
Could it be possible that she could have met someone without your knowledge?
I don't think so.
And on response, your first reaction was concern, not certainty. Is that fair to say?
Yes, I was concerned.
And as parents, our fear can influence our assumptions in high-stress situations. Is that correct?
Correct.
So when the investigation began, you provided your best understanding, but it was not based on what you believed, and it was based on what you had believed but not had actually witnessed. Is that fair to say?
Yes, it's very not led her to respond, to not respond to me. I sent her multiple text messages, which that she did respond to.
Thank you, Mrs. Lamar. I appreciate you being here. No further questions, Your Honor?
Thank you. Ms. Lamar, could you give me a chance, to see if the plaintiff would like to redirect? No? All right. Witness, you may step down. Plaintiff, you must call your third witness, please.
The prosecution calls Sierra Lamar's dad, Steve Lamar, to the stand.
Witness, could you please stand so you can be sworn in by the bailiff?
Please raise your right hand. Do you promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Please tell us your name and your relationship to the victim.
My name is Steve Lamar. I am the victim's father.
Mr. Lamar, how would you describe your relationship with your daughter?
I love her. She was my daughter. No.
And what was the last time you spoke to Sierra?
I believe it was
And Mr. Lamar, when did you become aware that she might be missing?
a day when she didn't show up to school.
No further questions. Thank you, Mr. Lamar.
Thank you. The defense may cross-examine the witness.
Hello, Mr. Lamar. Thank you for being here today. Mr. Lamar, you lived separately from Sierra at the time, correct? How often did you see her in person in the months leading up to her disappearance? Okay. Did Sierra ever confide in you about issues with school or her new environment?
No, not that I was aware.
Okay. And were you aware of her missing her old home in Fremont? Okay. Are you aware if she had any romantic relationships at the time?
No, not that I was aware.
Do you know if she had plans to meet anyone that day? So while you were close with Sierra, there were parts of her daily life that were outside your knowledge, is that correct? Thank you, sir. No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you. Plaintiff, do you have a redirect? No? All right, witness, you may step down. Thank you, the defense, you may call your first witness. Your fourth witness. Do you have a fourth witness?
The Constitution calls for Sierra Lamar's men.
Please raise your right hand. Do you promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Please say your name and your relationship to Sierra Lamar.
Hello, my name is Shanna Foreman. I'm Sierra's husband.
In regards to Sierra's behavior, has Sierra mentioned anything or expressed the need to want to be critical in her community? And did she seem worried or anxious about anything before she went inside? That'll be all.
Thank you. Representative? No problem.
No cross?
Sorry, second witness? Oh. You don't have a-
Prosecution calls the probation officer to the stand.
Witness, can you please stand for the bailiff to swear you in, please?
Please raise your right hand. Do you promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Please tell us your name and your title.
No city probation officer.
How and when did you first become involved in this investigation?
This investigation was put on my desk after finding out that a 15-year-old girl, Sierra Lamar, whose body has still not been found, was missing. The severity of the crime, along with the evidence presented, shows that it was a violent act.
And how and what was the evidence that was collected?
DNA from this man was shown on her clothes.
What are the regulations or policies in collecting and processing this evidence?
The evidence needs to be in a clean area.
No further questions, thank you.
Thank you. Defense, do you have any redirect questions? If no, then witness may step down.
You're a liar.
Order.
You took her from me.
Yeah. Order in the court.
Order in this court.
Order in the court. Bailiff, bailiff.
We will not have this in the courtroom. We will not have this.
Bailiff. And the court is,
You should be in the ground.
order in the court, order in the court. We still have time.
Let's have silence for a quick minute. Let's have the court go to recess while everyone calms down. De-escalate the situation. Handle?
Handle.
Thank you.
Alright. So defense, call your second witness.
Who likes to talk next? Antony, have you direct communication with Sierra? Thank you. That will be all.
Thank you. Any cross-examination?
Hello, Francine. Were you in contact with the defendant Garcia Torres on the day of the murder? And do you know the difference between the truth and the lie? Have you been lying? So any statements about where he was the day based on what he told you are sorry. Any statements that he said where he was that day are based on what he told you, not based on yourself?
Objection leading.
Sustained.
That'll be all. Thank you.
Thank you. That'll be all, Witness Commissioner. Defense, call your third witness. Do we have a third witness?
Have any complaints against him in particular?
He was very quiet and he was all the rules.
So when you initially heard about this case, what was your reaction?
I was very shocked. I feel like my son wouldn't do that because I raised him. Growing up, he knew like all the rules, all the boundaries, and he would not do that.
That'll be all. Thank you. No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you. Players, we have the cross-examination.
Hello, Mrs. Garcia. You said your son was not involved in troubles before this. Then how do you explain the 3 convictions of attempted kidnapping?
Well, I didn't find out until the trial, but yeah, he never told me anything about it.
And did you notice any changes in your son's behavior leading up to the day of this murder?
No, he never showed anything.
You mentioned
Defense, do you have any redirect questions?
No.
Thank you. You may continue.
Both the state and the defense have now rested their cases. The attorneys will now present their final arguments. Plaintiffs, if you guys like to come up and present your first argument.
Your Honor, members of the jury, today you heard the defendant Antony Garcia Torres is charged with the kidnapping and murder of Sierra Lamar. I would like to remind you of important information about this case that you should think of as you make a decision. Antony Garcia was previously convicted of 3 attempted kidnapping charges in 2009. Lamar's DNA was present on the trunk of his car, as well as his DNA found in her jeans that was recovered by forensics. After hearing all the facts, yes, proven facts, we ask that you find the defendant guilty of all charges.
Order.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, thank you.
Now the defense. Would you like to proceed to closing argument?
Your Honor and members of the jury, I would like to thank you for your time and careful attention during this trial. Out of all the crucial information that we have heard today, there's only one thing that you need to remember. It is that the prosecution carries the burden of proof beyond a reasonable doubt. Though it can be seen as a legal phrase, it's also a phrase in practice that is essential to protect the innocent Antony Garcia Torres. Throughout this trial, you have heard statements relating to 1, speculation, number 2, assumptions about a man, and number 3, circumstantial evidence. However, what we have not heard is clear and convincing evidence that this 29-year-old man is capable of committing such a crime. From the beginning to the end, fingers have been pointed at this young man, even though there have been 1, no eyewitnesses, an unclear timeline of what actually happened, and 3, inconclusive physical evidence.
For example, wherever there are no signs of struggle, no weapon, no fingerprints, and there was no body ever found, we also have to question if the evidence could have been contaminated. These are the foundational questions we must ask ourselves, and we must also consider that there are alternative explanations for every single point the prosecution has tried to make. The case of Antony Garcia Torres is not a case built on facts, but instead a case built on pure suspicion and fear. What they have is a case built on a trace amount of DNA evidence. The prosecution also brought up incidents from years earlier, trying to convince you that Antony Garcia Torres has a pattern. However, this trial is not in 2009, and this trial is about the now 29-year-old Antony Garcia Torres. It's about what happened on March 16, 2012. It's about whether or not he kidnapped and murdered Sierra Lamar. We must not let past speculations and guesses determine the future of this man's life, especially when the past is being used to distract from the lack of concrete evidence. Everyone in this courtroom is seeking justice. However, justice is not about picking the most convenient suspect. Antony Garcia Torres is a human being. He's someone's son, and he's someone's father. He is the kind of man who cooks for his wife every night after a long day of work, and he's the kind of man who loves those around him, such as his wife and daughter. This trial is about fairness and justice, meaning that we should not convict Antony Garcia Torres based on something people think he might have done. We convict based on proof beyond reasonable doubt, and that standard the prosecution has not met.
Thank you. Now, members of the jury, people of the jury, you have heard all the testimony concerning this case. It's now up to you guys to determine that.
The defense, you can do your closing argument.
Do you guys have any closing arguments? Any closing arguments? No, right?
Listen to me.
Members of the jury, you guys have heard all the testimony concerning this case. It's now up to you guys to determine the facts. You and you alone are the judges of the facts. Once you guys decide what the facts of the evidence proves, you guys must then apply the law. This case is special with regard to the law. You guys may find certain laws in contradiction with each other amongst yourselves, and you guys must decide which laws prevail in order to decide whether the defendant has violated any of them. The laws in question are ORS 30.020, Oregon's wrongful death statute. However, also in question are constitutional amendments 211 and 215, as well as the original Bill of Rights. In this case, you guys must determine which laws underpin the wrongful death statute in order to determine if the defendant has committed a wrongful death act. Now, I want you guys, in just a moment, you guys are going to answer two questions. We're going to give you guys time. The first one is, did the defendant violate the law against wrongful death? And the second one is, which constitutional amendments must be used in order to underline the wrongful death law? In just a moment, the bailiffs, they will take you guys to the jury room to deliberate and consider your guys' verdict. The first thing I want you guys to do is to select a fourth person, someone who will speak for you guys. The fourth person's duty will be to sign the verdict statement from the jury when you guys have agreed. Whatever verdict you guys choose, it must be unanimous. The bailiff will now escort you guys to the deliberation room.
Haley, hold on. You may be seated.
All right, people of the jury, have you guys reached the verdict?
We have.
How have you decided?
The people versus Antony Garcia Torres found a defendant not guilty on charges.
Order. We will be silent until all of the verdict is read, please. Thank you. And what law did you base your decision on?
Evidence is not found in that bag.
Thank you, jury, today for your service.
Thank you.
And court is adjourned.
Order. Order. Remain seated until the defense walks out.
Congrats, John. You plan to go back to Epstein Island now that you're free?
Yeah, right. I'm going to IHOP.
Actually, try to run in that. Shankle too, bro. Hey, try to run in that.
All right, young boy.
All right, young boy.